Ada, ada. I didn't see this coming. What's going on, guys? This is Skyhound, also known as Geek Detective Pierce. And I find it interesting that when it comes to being so jealous of a certain medium that you keep wanting to try to play along and, mimic their style when you forget who you are. Unfortunately, in modern times, Americans have had this identity problem ever since 2008. Yes, I'm going that far back, ladies and gentlemen. But anyway, let's get started with this. Quick shout out to you, Spencer Bakuli of Bounding into Comics. Naruto and Bleach Anime Studio president rejects idea that anime should conform to Western standards. If you make animation with that in mind, it will become increasingly boring. To put this simply, this guy is stating that Western audiences are lunatics, and and they're right. Japan's correct. Americans are stupid, and there's plenty of evidence to go around. But let's begin. In adding his voice to the increasing number of Japanese creatives who have found themselves unhappy with the ever growing demands that their works be altered in order to accommodate Western socio political standards. Anime production studio Pierre Co. Limited president and CEO Mitsuyuki Honma has warned that should his respective medium change its core identity in order to attract overseas audiences, the results will, to quote the title of the article, become increasingly boring. Honma, who during his thus far tenure at the studio has overseen the production of such anime series such as Bleach, Thousand Year Blood War, Naruto Shippuden, and Boruto Naruto Next Generations, and Kingdom, offered his thoughts on this hot topic while speaking with Japanese entertainment news outlet Comic Natalie for their anime studio staff centric interview series, Anime Studio Chronicle. Eventually turning to reflect on how popular the aforementioned Naruto trilogy has been with overseas viewers. Currently, roughly 30% of Studio Pierre's video sales come from overseas audiences, with the trio of series and their related films being by far their best sellers. The studio boss asserted, I am endlessly grateful to have had the opportunity to meet and produce a great work that will become a long term series that will last for years. However, it is difficult to make a work that will be popular overseas or that will become a long term series. To this end, Honma explained, of course, you can aim for the top half. And to quote the original title of this article, but if you make an animation with that in mind, it will become increasingly boring. We don't make characters smoke in order to take some series overseas, he continued. We have to make the violence a little less violent and avoid sexy expressions. If Japanese animation is bound by such restrictions on expression, there is no way that people overseas will want to watch it. Dis- Drawing his thoughts to a close, Honma ultimately affirmed works that are a hit in Japan are also a hit overseas. I believe that we must not make the mistake of approaching anime production in the wrong way. As noted above, Honma is thankfully far from the first Japanese creator to speak out against the ongoing attempt by Western audiences to force the Eastern countries' various entertainment mediums to appeal to their own tastes and sensibilities. Honma actually does have a point here. However, I myself often say this, and I will always stand by this. Stupidity is unbiased. I don't give a damn about language. I don't give a damn about the ethnicity or religion or gender preferences. It applies to everybody in the world, myself included. Japan, do not think that you are excluded from this. You have a bunch of snakes in your own country, but you are blind to see it. And your so called talk about trying to be respectful to your elders does have its time and place. But the more you ignore the younger generation and the more you disregard and trying to guide them in terms of trying to get to whatever dreams they want to, you are shooting yourself in the foot. I'm not joking. You are destroying yourself. You are correct, however, in resisting the Western mentality. But to go back to my quote, stupidity is unbiased. It applies to everyone. I cannot stress it enough. However, that does not mean that all Westerners are like this. There is a select few that pretend to speak for the majority. They do not. I don't give a shit in terms of those trying to learn a language, especially if you're using a machine to translate a language that you do not understand. I myself am still practicing Japanese. Does that mean I fully understand it? No. Am I still learning? Yes. Do I need to use a machine to translate? No. However, this anti localization, which is practically the main subject of this article and a common issue. Before I go any further, I have to point this out. Learning a language is one thing, the nuances and the rules. Let me say it again, nuances and rules when it comes to grammar and making sentences, paragraphs, conversation, whatever. If you're going to get all pissy over gender and how it is used in a language, in a foreign language, and it's not just Americans, but also Europeans, I will say it right now, screw you, screw your feelings, and I don't give a fuck about whatever nonsense you try to come up with. Even if you try to pretend to have a certain condition, which I know you do not. You are not autistic. You are not ADHD. Whatever excuse you want to try to make, you're not that. Anyway, getting back to this article here. Asked during an April interview with video game news outlet Automaton if he was taking care not to let your series' identity become westernized, current Mana series producer Masaru Oyamada declared, I think the visuals of the Mana games are a distinctive characteristic, therefore, it is best to deliver the game based on the developer's creative vision. For example, there are many different types of characters in the Mana series, he said. I think the fun of the game is encountering this mysterious world and its inhabitants, and because of that, we don't have a strong focus on a particular audience. However, we do work on the game while bearing in mind that the Mana series is loved by fans from all over the world. He does have a point. First of all, there's just one fundamental problem. While this game is made by Square Enix, I'm gonna be cruel here. Japan, you fucked up. I'm not joking. The higher ups that you have that are always trying to look overseas, they're traitors. I'm not sorry for saying this, Japan. You have traitors. And you haven't learned from those who know how to deal with traitors, getting rid of them permanently. That's what you need to do. You need to punish those people. Disregard young or old. I don't care how long you've been at it. You need to punish your own, Japan. I'm not joking. And it's not just me saying this. There are those of us that, despite wanting to learn Japanese and also respect you guys, you have to learn to curb your own. It's not just America that needs to do this. Europe is pretty much dead. America's next. So if you really want to save entertainment Japan, you need to go against your own people, regardless of the company. Weighing in on the discourse surrounding the heavily altered localization seen in the English release of Vanillaware's Unicorn Overlord, Final Fantasy Tactics director Yasumiyu Matsuno opined, I believe that it is unacceptable for someone to alter a work without considering the original author's intent. However, when the market or language is different, a direct translation may not convey the intended meaning accurately. That is especially true for humor. Therefore, I think some degree of alteration is unavoidable. Before I go any further and get to the end of this article, I 110% agree with Matsuno san. He's correct about that. When it comes to learning a language and then transitioning from one to another, let me say this right now, it is not a walk in the park. I have noticed during my interactions on Twitter that there are those who respect other cultures to an extent. And when it comes to going from one language to another, those that don't speak English, yes, I'm bashing my own country, America, FYI. At least most of you guys get the idea and try to respect Japan to the best of your ability. However, going back again to my quote, stupidity is unbiased. If you can understand that, then you know you have stupid people in your country and you should be mocking them. You should be making fun of them. You should criticize them because that is also part of your duty as a country. You say you want to save your own? Know which ones are trying to bring you down. And I'm not kidding here. Know which ones. Research. Start digging. Because these people that pretend to be something that they're not are the infection. I can't stress it enough. It's not just in America. If you understand this and are fighting that fight, I salute you. Because there are those of us that actually give a damn. And I know Americans don't these days. The evidence is plain to see. Anyway, to finish this off, The issue lies in whether the original author has consented to these alterations. Has anyone confirmed whether the author of Unicorn Overlord has approved its English translation? He then posited, in any case, I think both arguments have merit. Translating faithfully to the original and allowing some degree of adaptation. I encourage discussion on this matter, as I do not intend to take sides. However, if the original author approves, I believe that should be respected. That's all. He does have a point. However, with the issue of AI and machine translations, I can't stress it. I can't stress this enough. Nuances and rules, among other things. Never send a machine to do what a human can do. While it sounds I am flipping a quote from The Matrix, both the original quote from that film and then me flipping it, they both make sense. There are certain things that machines can do that humans can't, and vice versa. However, going back to this quote here, Matsuno san does have a point. Both arguments do have merit. Translating stuff is not a walk in the park. It is not easy. However, are there those who know their native language well and are able to translate it in other languages? Depends on who you ask. The problem when it comes to translating not a language, but what is being said, trying to differentiate between what is actually said by a person versus what is said through a machine. That, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be a challenge. And I already have it rough enough translating clown speech. And it's not just me that's translating clown speech. Those of us who are centrists know this. Even those on the right, to an extent, know this. However, to quote Denzel Washington regarding social media, as he said, it is a tool. And frankly, it should be treated as such. And it's not just Denzel Washington that's pointing this out. Boxer Mike Tyson also said something similar. It made people soft. And he's right. Both of these men are right. And yet, it doesn't surprise me that this whole issue about localization proves Americans and Europeans are retarded. The schools are not what they once were. They are completely infected and overrun by weak minded people. It's not just men that are the problem, women are also the problem. And if you're looking at the wrong articles that are just bashing the guys, you're blind. Women are also evil. I will not stress this enough. I'm not being sexist, I'm being real. Now, with that being said, both anti localizations as well as localizers, need to shut up. Because language learning, if you're only going to be learning one thing, you should quit while you're ahead. If you're not going to take learning a culture, their history, and their language seriously, don't bother. I'm not joking. You can pretend to be an otaku all you want, but if you're going to be a selfish, deranged, toxic narcissist while putting pronouns in your bio or using a particular anime profile pic and then making stuff up just to have yourself be seen, you are a parasite. You are not a human being. And I'm not sorry for saying this. I will hurt feelings. I will crush your ego. I will question your delusions. And if you can't give a straight answer, shut up. But anyway, this whole thing about, you know, fake representation and always complaining about people of color, excuse me, but whites and blacks are the two most common cited racists and retarded people on the planet. Liberals in general. I don't give a damn about ethnicity. All liberals, regardless of ethnicity, regardless if it's male or female, you're stupid. Not sorry to say, you are stupid. If it's hurting your feelings, hurting your ego, good. Because most people don't give a shit. You don't know what these games are about. You never play it. You don't even watch some of these anime. And if you think one title is exactly the same like every other, you are eternally stupid. Not sorry to say this. You are eternally stupid. Because you were never born when some of these IPs came out. I can use history and simple mathematics to debunk the BS that you spew. But yeah, this is just my general thoughts, and I totally agree to an extent with what Japan is stating. However, Japan, you still have hypocrites within your own country, and you are correct in trying to deport these foreign parasites from infecting your country. However, if you're only addressing one side of it, you're only doing the job half the time. If you also don't go against your own, that is the other 50% that you are missing. And as long as you turn a blind eye to that other 50%, your own, you will always have this problem. Mark my words. You will always have this problem. I'm not the only one noticing it. There are some in Europe that also notice it. But Europe is already fucked up, and so is Canada. If you don't pay attention to these minute details, it's going to bite you in the butt. I can't stress it enough. But with that being said, again, this is just my general thoughts on a matter that I know has been addressed numerous times, and I know I'm not the only one thinking about this. There are those of us that actually give a damn, Japan. I myself am one. But I honestly wish you luck in this crusade, in this fight against Americans and Europeans. But anyway, this has been Skyhound, also known as Geek Detective Pierce. Stay safe, stay sane, and as Orange Hat would always say, stay humble. Peace out.